celebrates Black History Month.
Assume the position.
Right now at 5, Carthage authorities investigate the death of a worker in an industrial accident.
And we've got a very breezy day out there for us. We've got wind advisories, red flag warnings. We'll take a look at all that and forecast to get you out the door coming up.
Plus, the city of Joplin begins beautification efforts by replacing invasive trees downtown.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 5 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner. You got to keep all your these are
you
your
pushed
papers.
them over. I had them lined up the way I like it.
You're on my. This is my half.
This is my desk. Go over to your weather center.
I might. I'll get my papers and I'll just pile them all around your space. It's Thursday. It's a Thursday morning, and we are almost to the end of the week. And if you're not careful, if I'm not careful, I'm not going to make it through this morning show. But if I don't give her a hard time, nobody else will. And so, somebody's got to keep Caitlin in line, right? She's just giggling like, I'm going to get you later. Just wait. We've got a very breezy day out there. Take a look. Our camera on the Cornell complex shaking in the wind on occasion. You can see the flags on City Hall really whipping in the breeze out there. Even the MoDOT camera at 20th and Rangeline is rocking back and forth a little bit out there. Traffic lights are one of those things on windy days. They amaze me with how far and how heavy this pole has to be that holds these lights. It bobs up and down, and it's got 4 big bolts, and that's all that attaches it. I don't know how they don't loosen up. Any other object in wind like that, those bolts would loosen and eventually it'd break off, but not signals. They're very well crafted. Here's a quick look. Red flag warnings for parts of southeast Kansas and southwest Missouri. They run until 9 o'clock tonight. So one of the things that we want to emphasize is absolutely no outdoor burning today. All right, especially if you're in these red flag warnings, but just across the area in general, no outdoor burning out there. Any fire you have could spread rather quickly. We also have wind advisories today for this section of southeast Kansas until 5, and then from here and east, they run until 6 tonight, and that's because we could see wind gusts pushing upwards of 40, 45 miles an hour today. Take a look at these temperatures. They're about 20 degrees warmer than where we should be for this time of year. We're in the low to mid 50s across the area, and we should be right around the mid 20s out there. Again, not that we're complaining, just letting you know we're well above normal right now, and we will be again today. Low 50s, partly cloudy skies, breezy when the kids get on the bus, gusts up to 35. Wind will pick up out of the southwest, gusts up to 45 miles an hour. Sunny skies out there. Unfortunately, our rain chances for today have really fizzled out. There might be a stray shower or two this morning. That's going to be about it. As we go through the rest of the day, though, sunny skies, temperatures into the upper 60s, pushing close to 70. And, of course, we'll have those very gusty southwesterly winds out there. We're going to talk more about the entire forecast, how the weekend is shaping up, and that 4-letter S word is returning, believe it or not. Yeah, it's on its way back. We'll talk about all that in that full forecast here in just a few more minutes. Caitlin?
Chris, all right. Well, authorities in Carthage say a worker at a food plant died Tuesday in an industrial accident. Around 3:45 Tuesday, police received reports of a worker entrapped in a machine at the Schreiber Foods plant on Claxton Avenue. When they arrived, they found the male worker unconscious and not responsive. They called for a med flight, but before it got there, they declared the worker dead. Authorities are now investigating the incident as an industrial accident. And the FBI is trying to identify victims of a cyber attack that occurred late last year. We've told you someone breached the computer files of Integris Health, which operates a hospital in Miami, Oklahoma. On Christmas Eve, many Integris patients received an email listing the specifics of their personal information. The sender asked for a $50 fee to not sell the data on the dark web. If you or someone you know received one of those emails, the FBI would like to hear from you. For more information, go to fbi.gov and click on the Victim Services tab. Spire wants to warn its customers about scammers impersonating the energy provider. Scammers posing as Spire representatives have called customers requesting a bill payment. As a reminder, Spire would like customers to know it will never ask for payment through cash apps such as Venmo. If a customer receives a suspicious phone call, they should immediately hang up and contact Spire directly. And residents in Chanute, Kansas yesterday had a chance to learn about the new VA clinic opening in Iola. With the new clinic comes the closure of 3 others in Chanute, Garnett, and Fort Scott. Yesterday's meeting isn't the only one available. There will be one tomorrow in Iola from 5:30 to 7:30 at the North Community Center. Then on Friday, there will be one at Fort Scott Community College, also from 5:30 to 7:30. The Missouri State Auditor yesterday announced plans to launch an audit of the city of Joplin. Scott Fitzpatrick says it comes at the request of residents who gathered more than 2,200 signatures. The city was last audited in 2015 and received an overall performance rating of poor. The new audit will officially begin on February 20th with an entrance meeting with county officials. And out with the old and in with the new, the city of Joplin announced its next beautification project is to replace trees along Main Street. KOAM's Amber Jenkins explains why.
The city of Joplin is replacing the non-native calorie pear trees along Main Street as a part of a beautification project. This project is funded by the citizens-approved proposition use tax and the associated beautification initiative efforts.
This first batch of trees from 1st to 32nd Street is about $50,000. There's some additional work that we'd like to do on Joplin Avenue, replacing those trees, which may be an additional $20,000 to $25,000 that we'll look at.
City officials predict the project would take 6 to 8 weeks. They want to plant lower maintenance and more environmental friendly trees.
They've overgrown into the awnings of some of the businesses. There's been complaints about dropping fruits and limbs and that kind of stuff. So we're replacing them with more appropriate size trees, which are smaller type trees, more appropriate for a downtown streetscape setting. So I know there's some Japanese pagoda trees, lilac trees for specifically downtown.
Some downtown business owners are excited.
When they get large like that, they start dropping stuff, and so just keeping things cleaned up. But I think the city, all in all, does a good job, with the downtown community. We appreciate it.
We have been seeing a lot more foot traffic, and even with the construction downtown, we have been seeing more traffic because people are walking by or on their way to their meetings. They're stopping by and saying hello because they have to park behind the building, or even when they're down to one lane, it forces them almost to kind of sit and look at our windows.
Reporting in Joplin, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
The city first planted calorie pear trees along Main Street in 2018. They're called a non-native tree because the species is originally from China and Vietnam. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, Pitt State basketball returned home yesterday evening to play against Central Missouri. We'll have the details. Plus, there have been more than 1 million migrant encounters since October 1st. And we have another windy day. We'll have what to expect with Chris Warner in the Skywatch Weather Center. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back.
Quick, and I'm inviting you on a holiday vacations tour.
Four State Obituaries is a service of KOAM News Now and Durfelt Funeral Homes. It's more than a service, it's our ministry.
Welcome back. Yesterday was the 2024 National Signing Day across the 4 states. Several high school athletes signing their letters of intent. And of course, you can check out our website, KOAMnewsnow.com/sports. And you can hear from them. Pitt State football also brings in a new recruiting class highlighted by a familiar face. Former Gorilla wide receiver Christian Carter, who played for PSU from 2019 to 2022, has signed with Pitt State again and will join the Gorillas in 2024. Carter transferred to Division I FBS Memphis in 2023. He had very limited playing time with the Tigers, only participating in 4 games and finishing the season with 2 receptions total. 2 years ago with PSU, Carter had 51 catches, 692 receiving yards, and 5 touchdowns. Pitt State basketball returned home yesterday evening. The Gorillas women's team has entered a bit of a slump in January, but won 4 in a row entering last night. Pitt State entering the game on that 4-game winning streak. Gorillas facing the Central Missouri Jennies last night. In the first, Jenna Shipley is open in the corner, and the lefty knocks down the 3. A little later in the quarter, Harper Schreiner steps back and drains it from beyond the arc. Closing seconds of the first half, Alba Lozano beats the buzzer from long range. The Gorillas go into halftime with a 7-point lead. So now we go to the fourth quarter. We're going to see Macy Mays passing this ball around the horn, and Grace Pyle is there to hit the three-point shot in the corner with just over 2 minutes to go. This game tied 76 apiece, and Harper Schreiner knocks down a clutch three ball. Pitt State leads by 2 points with only 3 seconds left. UCM tries to draw something up, but they miss that last shot. Pitt State hangs on to win 82-80. The Gorillas have now won 5 straight. Just after that one, the men's team takes the floor against the Central Missouri Mules. Early in the game, Tanner Mans gets the steal. Dishes to Jeremy Shaw for the layup. A little later in the game, it's Shaw who's going to dump it over to Max Alexander for three. Nothing but net. Next possession, Max Alexander is open in the corner again, and he knocks down another one. He led Pitt State with 17 points last night. Still in the first, Jordan Hayes gets the steal. Then Keith Tyner finishes the dunk in transition, but Pitt State still leading by 7. Closing seconds before the half, R.J. Forney throws up an alley-oop to Tane Prichter and gets the slam. Pitt State goes on to win this one 69-60. Well, so to come, we're going to see why the American Red Cross is offering an incentive to people who donate blood. Plus, we'll have another check of that forecast and the potential for that 4-letter S word that nobody likes here in just a moment.
With Wade's RV, and I wanted to invite you to come see
in Jay, Oklahoma.
Hero Fund USA and KOAM News Now supporting the 4 states' first responders.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 5:16 and 32 seconds on this Thursday morning. This is a live view from our camera on the Cornell Complex downtown Joplin. We do have some clouds out there. The big story of the day, though, is the wind. Take a look at those flags on City Hall, really whipping in the breeze, and every so often, our camera down there starts shaking back and forth as well. And we've seen some movement from the KDOT, or the MoDOT camera, 20th in range line in Joplin as well, kind of wobbling back and forth in those breezes. And if those winds are strong enough to shake these cameras, they are definitely strong enough to cause issues for you while you're driving, and even more so for burning. So please, 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 no outdoor burning today with these winds. We have red flag warnings for parts of southeast Kansas, southwest Missouri until 9 o'clock tonight, which is an even bigger reminder and even bigger reason of why you shouldn't do any outdoor burning. Outside of that, we have wind advisories for this section of southeast Kansas through 5 this evening, and from here east until 6. So again, you've got to be careful out there. Winds today will be gusting upwards of 40-45 miles an hour out of the southwest. So if you're on any east-west highways, and potentially, regardless of the direction you're going, as the winds shift around out there, you're going to need to hold on to the steering wheel, and that starts now. It's already breezy out there, and it's going to get gustier as the day goes on. And if you're driving a high-profile vehicle, you need to be prepared for these winds. As we go overnight and through the evening and overnight, the winds let up a wee bit, but they're still gusting upwards of 30 miles an hour. And for our Friday, at least for some of us, some of those gusty winds return, still pushing upwards of 30 miles an hour out there. So again, that's the big story right now, is the wind. You've got to be cautious. Take a look. Joplin's at 56, South Breeze 18, still or already gusting to 35 miles an hour out there. Temperatures around the region, 20 degrees or so above where we should be this time of year. With that southerly wind right now, we've got temperatures low to mid 50s across the entire region. As we get our day started, there will be a few clouds here and there, and we may even see a stray shower or two this morning. Be very isolated. 98% of us will remain dry, and we'll be into, look at this, the low 60s by late morning, with highs today upper 60s, getting close to 70 degrees. So we get the wind, but we also get a beautiful day, sunny skies out there. We're going to stay clear and breezy as we go through the evening. Again, temperatures tonight back into the mid 40s out there, and we're going to see those winds continuing to gust upwards of 30. Breezy again tomorrow, upper 60s, and again another opportunity for an isolated shower or two. Maybe some showers on Sunday, but temperatures begin to fall back a bit And we could start Monday with a few morning snow showers out there. Now, it shouldn't add up to much, but as you know, it doesn't take a lot to make roads slick, so we need to watch that. But whatever we get Monday doesn't last long. Look at Tuesday, Wednesday, the sun returns, as do temperatures back above normal into the 50s. Let's check your forecast. We'll be back with Health Watch right after this.
This is Scott with Windows for Less. With springtime in mind, easy. Give us a call today to schedule your free at-home estimate. If you want the best for less, call Windows for Less.
Topping Health Watch this morning, 3 studies on the abortion pill mifepristone have been retracted by academic publishers Sage Publications. 2 of the studies in question were cited by a Texas judge who ruled to suspend federal approval of mifepristone on April 2023. However, officials at Sage say that the findings in those studies were faulty. They say that they were based on unreliable data and that there were conflicts of interest between the researchers and the anti-abortion movement. The U.S. Supreme Court is expected to hear arguments on mifepristone next month. For now, the drug remains available pending the appeals process. Medical abortion is the most frequent form of terminating a pregnancy in the U.S. Numerous studies have shown it to be highly safe and effective. The American Red Cross is offering an incentive to people who donate blood amid a nationwide shortage. People who donate blood anytime throughout the month of February will receive a $20 Amazon gift card. Anyone who chooses to do a platelet or an AB Elite plasma donation will also be eligible to receive the gift card. The organization says blood supply is critically low, partly due to dangerous winter weather events that canceled many blood drives in January. And the European Commission is out with a roadmap for slashing carbon pollution by 90% of 1990 levels by 2024. It's one of the most ambitious climate goals in the world. In a concession to European farmers, the Commission took out a section of climate action in the agricultural sector. That section called for a 30% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions from agriculture compared to 2015 levels. The EU document sets a goal and outlines how to get there, touching on fossil fuels, transportation, and industry. It could take up to a year for the European Parliament to approve the roadmap, but it's likely to set a benchmark for developed nations worldwide. And having a healthy diet, exercise, and not smoking are all important for heart health, but there are some risk factors for heart disease that the healthy lifestyle alone can't help. Amanda Gaither has more on the importance of knowing your personal and family heart health history and 3 lesser-known heart health tests that can help determine risk.
Lori Welsh knew her family history. Her mom had her first heart attack at age 48. Her grandfather, uncle, and aunt all had heart disease and all died in their early 50s. Despite that, Welsh says she first discounted a pressure in her chest and hands that went numb.
I had a 90% blockage in my left anterior descending artery, which is what they call the widowmaker.
Welsh says a screening revealed she and her mother had high levels of lipoprotein A protein on which cholesterol travels. It can't be controlled by healthy eating or exercise.
This is genetic, and you have it or you don't.
There are many people with higher lipoprotein A levels, but few are tested, says Dr. Wesley Milks with the Ohio State's Wexner Medical Center.
It's a form of bad cholesterol that is still undergoing increased awareness, both in the general population and among healthcare providers.
2 other screenings of which those with genetic risk should be aware: an ultrasound for aortic aneurysms to detect damage to the body's largest blood vessel, and a coronary CT calcium scan that can detect the hardening of arteries before symptoms appear. Milk says early detection is critical.
So we can develop a personalized treatment plan to try to keep their risk as low as possible.
Welsh says knowing she has high levels of lipoprotein A has guided her healthcare decisions, as it did for her mother.
We got 25 extra years with my mom because of that test, and that's an incredible gift.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Welsh is also taking part in a clinical trial at the Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center. Researchers are studying a new therapy that they hope will lower lipoprotein A levels. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And we've got ourselves a very windy day across the 4 states. We'll have another look at that forecast when we come back.
Spicy McChicken, a savory cheeseburger, classic and crispy McChicken, and now a juicy 4-piece chicken McNugget. Bite into the best at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Right now at 5:30, law enforcement agencies in Newton County are struggling to keep employees.
And we've got ourselves a very breezy day out there. We've got red flag warnings, wind advisories. We'll take a look at all that in that forecast to get you out the door coming up.
Plus, medical personnel at Pitt State practice how to respond to a disaster.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 5:29 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner. So it's a breezy day out there today.
It is. It really is.
It's not a problem for me, but for folks like you who actually have hair.
Might be a hat day.
It might be a hat day, wear the hair up day, or just, embrace the bald and just shave your head today. No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that. But definitely hold on to those hats as we've got the winds gusting upwards of 45 miles an hour out there today. As mentioned, we've got some red flag warnings, wind advisories. We'll look at those here in just a second. This is MoDOT camera 20th and Range Line in Joplin. Now remember, this camera is firmly secured to one of these, a traffic signal out there, and it is bobbing back and forth in the wind already this morning, and winds are going to be increasing as we go through the day. Southeast Kansas, parts of, and into southwest Missouri, red flag warnings until 9, so we have to emphasize absolutely no outdoor burning. And in all honesty, even if you're not under a red flag warning out there, with the winds today, you do not want to do any outdoor burning, period. Wind advisories, parts of southeast Kansas until 5, and then Bourbon, Crawford, Cherokee counties, and into southwest Missouri, they run until 6 this evening. Again, for those winds gusting upwards of 40 to 45 miles an hour out of the southwest today. And take a look at these temperatures. It is almost like a May day out there, with temperatures into the low to mid 50s across the region. And we should be right around the mid-20s out there, so well above average across the area. Kids getting on the bus today, they're going to want to have some kind of weight in their backpack so they don't blow away. As we're looking to be in the low 50s, breezy, winds gusting to 35. When that bus brings them back home, we're talking right around mid-upper 60s, southwest breeze 20 to 30, sustained, gusting upwards of 45. Highs today, again, upper 60s, pushing close to 70, sunny skies out there. Unfortunately, our shower chances for today really just fizzled out, but a stray shower or two this morning may be possible, but 98% of us will remain dry. We do have some additional shower chances and the possibility of some snow later down the road. We'll take a look at all that in the full forecast here in a few more minutes. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Law enforcement agencies in our area have seen a decline in officer retention. The Newton County Sheriff's Office says 36 employees have left the department since 2018. Only 6 of those stayed in law enforcement. The Carl Junction Police Department has reported similar struggles in staffing. Both departments say a lack of pay and/or benefits is to blame for the loss in personnel. And they're not alone. Law enforcement is dealing with a shortage of employees nationwide.
I do expect to compete with local law enforcement agencies, and I've had that discussion many times with the commissioners. Salary-wise, we're probably fairly comparable to every other agency in the area. Where we get behind is longevity and benefits.
Jennings adds that no services have been cut, and he hopes it never gets to that point. And there are nearly 400,000 people in the U.S. who go to the hospital for burn-related injuries. Most burn accidents usually involve a fire or some sort, but that is not always the case. Burns that happen in the kitchen usually stem from a person touching a hot object or liquid.
A third-degree burn means that the burn injured some of the deeper tissues. And this usually, with burns in general, scarring is an issue, but especially with third-degree burns, there's a lot of dead tissue in there that's going to hamper the natural growth of your body trying to fill that area back in. And it usually does need some debridement, get rid of that dead tissue, as well as really watching close for infections.
Thermal burns are the most common ones that would encounter. Doctors say to run the burn under cool water for anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes. And Pitt State medical staff and students yesterday conducted a disaster simulation at the Irene Ransom Badley School of Nursing. Medical personnel practice what to do in a disaster situation like the Joplin tornado of 2011. They also learned how to assign color levels of triage patients, orienting not injured patients rate green, critical but savable patients rate red, and Patients Beyond Saving Rate Black.
You're not our first priority. And I think that's something, yet again, is tough. And it's definitely stressful in the moment. I mean, we walked up to a patient out there and we're like, what do? Their chest cavity is completely open. I mean, that's just realistically not someone we're going to be able to save in this kind of situation. But it took us a second of being like, okay, they're Black. Move on.
The simulation also provided training for dealing with media in disaster situations. And you can now watch a Pittsburgh native on the big screen. Will Jewett is one of the dancers in the new Mean Girls movie. The film was inspired by the Broadway musical of the same name, which in turn was based on the 2004 comedy film. Will's mom, Janice Jewett, is an PSU dance professor and has watched the movie 8 times already.
Support came so naturally. And then my dad took like one step longer. He came to a dance competition. And when the word competition gets put into something, my dad, former track and field cross-country coach at Pittsburgh State, was like, oh yeah, I can get behind a competition.
As parents, we noticed that he had great rhythm early on, that he could carry a melody. He memorized lyrics after just hearing a song once.
This was Will's first time in a film. Soon he'll be joining a Broadway show. While he still can't share details, he said he will be on the road for a year. And students at Frank Layden Elementary in Frontenac, Kansas yesterday showed off their chief spirit. Yesterday's theme was Dreaming of a Win Wednesday. Students were encouraged to dress up in their pajamas or sweats. A teacher we spoke to says days like this are great for getting kids excited for school.
Such a fun day for the kids in our community. Any Spirit Day, it doesn't have to just be Chiefs Super Bowl week, which is really awesome to have. It's just awesome to dress up with the kids, and it keeps us teachers young and excited to be at school, and hopefully that carries over to the kids too.
You can see how other area schools have been celebrating Chiefs Spirit Week on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Iceland is preparing for its third volcanic eruption in 3 months. Plus, Israel rejected Hamas' latest counteroffer as the war enters its 5th month. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back.
Captioning on KOAM News is sponsored by Aaron Sachs & Associates, proud partner of Travis Kelsey and his foundation, 87 and running.
Topping World Watch, there have been more than 1 million migrant encounters since October 1st. This is the earliest Border Patrol has ever reported a 1 million figure. Within the surge are dozens and dozens of dangerous gang members. All of this is happening as the U.S. Senate failed to advance a border funding bill, and President Biden blames former President Trump over the legislative shortfalls. Senior correspondent Casey Stagel is in Eagle Pass, Texas, with the latest.
Illegal border crossings have recently slowed to a trickle in Eagle Pass, but officials say the flood hasn't stopped. Activity simply shifting elsewhere for now. Border Patrol sources say more than 6,800 migrants were apprehended in the last 24 hours alone.
Right now, as we speak, there are no caps to illegal immigration. As many people that cross the border illegally, we have to take them into custody.
CBP data shows more than 785,000 encounters during just the first 3 months of fiscal year 2024. That's more than the population of Seattle. When you fold in January and the first part of February, sources say the tally now well surpasses 1 million.
The numbers are just staggering. And unfortunately, what we see here is a continuation of the Biden administration policies that have been in place really throughout his administration.
The Border Patrol chief says since October 1st, his agents have also apprehended more than 160 migrants with links to criminal gangs.
We know that the people who control the migration across the border are the cartels.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott was recently joined by more than a dozen other governors from around the country, all pushing for a more secure border. While on Tuesday, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, along with 15 other state attorneys general, wrote a letter to U.S. Senate leadership, in part calling on Congress to allow states to enforce existing federal immigration law.
We're all fighting for a safer, more secure border and country.
On Thursday, Texas Governor Greg Abbott will be back here in Eagle Pass, this time with more than 20 state lawmakers, where he is expected to make a new announcement when it comes to border security.
And Prince William stepped back onto the public stage Wednesday. For the first time since his father, King Charles III, announced his cancer diagnosis 2 days ago. The 41-year-old heir to the British throne attended a charity fundraiser in London alongside actor Tom Cruise. The royal's return to the spotlight also marks his first public appearance since his wife, Catherine, dealt with a health battle of her own after being hospitalized for abdominal surgery. William used the moment to thank gala attendees for the support given to his family, adding that it, quote, means a great deal to us. And Australia will introduce laws giving employees the right to ignore work calls after their shift. The right to disconnect proposal says it's aimed at restoring a work-life balance. When set into law, the changes will allow workers to ignore unreasonable calls from their employers outside of their work hours. Bosses who choose to ignore the law could face potential fines. France, Spain, and other European countries also have rules set in place for workers to switch off their phone once they leave their job site. And Iceland is preparing for its third volcanic eruption in 3 months. The country experienced its eruptions in December and then again in January, following a series of earthquakes that rocked the area. Residents in nearby Grindavik were not able to return to their homes after the seismic events, which left fissures in the ground and cracks in the several structures. The nearby Blue Lagoon geothermal spa also closed but has since reopened. The volcano gearing up to erupt had been dormant for 6,000 years before becoming active in March of 2021. And Sweden closes its investigation into the Nord Stream gas pipeline's explosion. The pipeline used to carry gas from Russia to Germany was mysteriously attacked in September 2022. Sweden says it doesn't have jurisdiction to look into the cause of it. The explosion in the Baltic Sea took place following Russia's invasion into Ukraine, as Europe tried to use less from Russia's energy sources. The Swedish prosecution authority has found that Swedish citizens were not involved and the country's territory was not used to accomplish the attack on the pipeline. Germany and Denmark still have investigations into the event. Israel rejected Hamas' latest counteroffer as the war enters its 5th month. It would have eventually freed all of the remaining hostages. Senior correspondent Mike Tobin has more from Tel Aviv.
I'm back first and foremost to consult directly with our partners on the joint efforts to bring all of the remaining hostages home.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken giving an update after Israel rejects Hamas ceasefire proposal. Blinken met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on the 3rd day of his Middle East tour. He's been traveling in the region with the goal of securing a ceasefire agreement.
There are clearly non-starters in what it's put forward, but we also see space in what came back to pursue negotiations to see if we can get to an agreement. And that's what we intend to do.
Hamas has offered to release all the remaining hostages in exchange for a 135-day ceasefire in 3 stages. Phase 1 would be a 45-day pause where all Israeli female hostages, males under 19, the elderly and sick, would be exchanged for Palestinian women and children. During Phase 2, remaining male Israeli hostages would be exchanged for Palestinian prisoners, and Israeli forces would leave Gaza completely. Both sides would exchange remains and bodies in Phase 3. But Netanyahu rejected Hamas's ceasefire terms, saying total victory in Gaza is possible within months.
The complete victory is the only way to win. Agreeing to Hamas's demands will not bring back your family members.
How could you accept the deal? 4.5 months, try restarting a war after that. Hamas would use that time to regroup, rearm, and prepare the next onslaught against Israel.
Officials in Gaza say the death toll is nearing 28,000. Many of those casualties are women and children.
And that's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back.
Vote for your favorite business at KOAMNewsNow.com.
Create a canine playground. That's Newsmaker Saturday at 5:30 a.m. on KOAM.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 5:46 now on this Thursday morning. It is a breezy day, but a mild, very mild start to the day, especially for February. This is our camera on the Cornell Complex downtown Joplin. You can see the flags really blowing in the wind, and on occasion the camera itself rocking back and forth. MoDOT camera 20th and range line already rocking back and forth in the breeze. Otherwise, we're looking good today. We just have to contend with this wind across the area, and with the wind comes this red flag warnings until 9 o'clock tonight. So absolutely no outside burning, period, especially in the red flag warning areas. But in all honesty, with the winds around the region today, you don't want to do any outdoor burning anywhere because it can spread very quickly. We also have wind advisories this part of southeast Kansas until 5, and then everyone else until 6 o'clock this evening. And here's why. We're looking at winds gusting 40 to 45 miles an hour as we go through the morning and through the afternoon today. So if you're traveling, especially on any east-west highways, or if you're in a high-profile vehicle, you need to be prepared for these gusty winds. Now, they're going to be primarily out of the south and west, so that could still cause some problems for even north-south highways and roadways across the area. Winds die down briefly heading into early tomorrow morning, and then for most of us, they'll pick back up, gusting once again to around 30 miles an hour on our Friday, so be aware of that as well. In Joplin right now, it is 56 degrees, and we should be in the 20s. South breeze at 18, gusting to 35 this morning. Temperatures around the region, thanks to the southerly breezes, bringing in all this warm air, putting us all into the low to mid 50s out there, so way above average for this time of year. Not that it's bad. I didn't actually have to bring the coat today. It was kind of strange in February not grabbing the coat heading out the door. It is still going to be breezy. An isolated shower or two may be possible this morning. 98% of us, I believe, will be dry, but there could be a stray shower or two. Otherwise, mostly clear skies, gusty winds into the low 60s by late morning, ahead of temperatures soaring into the upper 60s to near 70 degrees under sunny skies out there. So an absolutely gorgeous but very breezy day for us. Gusty winds continue through the evening and overnight, and we'll fall back into the mid 40s out there. Remember, we're supposed to be in the 20s. Our highs are supposed to be right around the mid 40s. So again, another well above average night. As for our Friday, another opportunity for a stray shower or two, otherwise breezy. We're looking at mostly cloudy skies. And then we cool down a bit. We're going to be in the upper 60s tomorrow. Then we fall back into the 40s, so back to normal Sunday and Monday. And with overnight lows back to normal, or at least close to, we're going to be cold enough that some of the shower chances we have Sunday could translate into some snow showers early Monday morning. Now, we're not expecting much at this point, but some slick spots will be possible. And regardless, anything we get doesn't last long because we warm right back up next week, back into the 50s. Sunny skies Tuesday, Wednesday, increasing clouds on Thursday, and then some additional rain chances by next Friday and Saturday. So still well above average for most of the next 10 days out there. That's Check Your Forecast. We'll be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Joplin Little Theater, celebrating its 84th season.
Under Thursday each week during our news at 10, right here on KOAM TV.
Thunder Thursday is exclusively sponsored by Downstream Casino Resort.
A New Jersey woman is sharing the secret to her success as she celebrates her 102nd birthday. Waukesha Bailey introduces us to Ada Wallach, who still has a spice for life after all these years.
Alexa, and then I ask for what they have, and I love to hear the music of my time.
That's about the extent of technology Ada Wallach uses.
I could do this.
That's how you're gonna dance?
I don't think I could do the steps of the tango and all that.
Wallach showed us a few dance moves as she prepares for a special birthday.
Well, I don't know. I've reached 102. I don't know how. It just came.
So, how do you feel?
Well, nothing hurts. I just smile. I don't know how I got here.
Wallach grew up in South Philadelphia. She graduated from Girls High at 15 years old. And a year later, she met her late husband, Harry.
When I was around 16, I met my husband, and we were at a camp, and everyone was smoking, so I took a cigarette, and he said to me, "If your mouth ever tastes like tobacco, I'll never kiss you." That put me on the the prohibition of smoking because I like to be kissed.
And they kissed and danced for more than 60 years. When Harry returned from the war, they opened a bakery in West Philadelphia.
He was a very good baker.
Wallach was good at sales, but ultimately she was a career woman, a court reporter for nearly 40 years.
I would dictate with the radio for my practice.
Some would say Wallach had it all, an adoring husband she traveled the world with, and was also her partner while ballroom dancing.
I like the cha-cha, and the merengue,
Nice.
and the tango.
But her proudest moments over the last 102 years comes with the simpler title, Mom. She loves her 3 daughters, and they can't get enough of her.
They'll never remember me for my cooking. I don't know how they all grown up so healthy.
She still looks and acts pretty young, so good for her. Keep it up. We'll be right back with more news after this.
Ron's massive meat sale is bigger and everything in between. Oh, next wheel.
6 nights a week on KOAM TV.
A rare baby chimpanzee makes a public appearance at a zoo in England. The male chimpanzee was born in front of Chester Zoo visitors on December 29th. The mother, named Alice, gave birth after an 8-month pregnancy. Newly released video shows the newborn gasping on tightly to his mother as his female relatives stand nearby. This birth, a part of the Chester Zoo Conservation Breeding Program, which works with European zoos to preserve the primate population. And a camel in California made himself an opening and got comfy inside his owner's home. Meet Albert, who is part of the Rancho Grande farm. The popular and dynamic animal was caught on video inside the farm's kitchen and living space of the home. The best part is that it's not the first time. In the video, one of his caretakers directs him outside and reminds him he can't keep coming inside the home. Rancho Grande is located at Ojai in Los Padres Forest.
And we've got ourselves a very breezy day today. We want to remind folks there are red flag warnings out there, wind advisories out there. So really, even if you're not under a red flag warning, we definitely advise no outdoor burning at all across the area today. It is going to be a little too windy. Winds out of the southwest gusting upwards of 40 to 45 miles an hour. We're going to be in the low 60s by late morning, mostly clear skies. Again, a stray shower possible this morning, but as about 98% of us will remain dry, unfortunately. Sunny, though, as we head into the afternoon, so a great day aside from the wind. Temperatures well above average, upper 60s pushing close to 70. Still breezy through the evening and overnight, gusts up to 30 miles an hour, and we'll fall back into the mid-40s. Looking ahead, breezy again tomorrow, 30-mile-an-hour wind gusts possible, mostly cloudy. Maybe a stray shower or two, upper 60s again. Cooling back a bit heading into the weekend. Temperatures about normal Sunday and Monday. Rain chances Sunday translate into possible snow chances early Monday morning. But the good news is we're not expecting much, but could still generate some slick spots. And regardless of what we see, it doesn't last long as we go back into the 50s by Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. Let's check your forecast. We have an entire full hour more. Yes, of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Prearrange your services at Bath Naylor and Frisco Funeral